Hello, hello, hello. All right, y'all. Oh my God, we are here for another episode of the Dr. Kiki Ramsey Show, and it's going to be a good one today. Today, we're going to be talking all about nurturing tomorrow's leaders, empowering youth through mentoring and coaching. And y'all know that's one of my favorite topics, and I cannot wait for y'all to meet today's guest right after this. Wendell Byrd.
Hey, how you doing?
All right, welcome to the show, friend.
Thank you for having me.
Oh my God. So listen, our listeners don't know, but we go way back.
Way back.
and I'm so thrilled that you have the opportunity to be on the show today. I mean, you came into my life when I was still trying to figure out somewhat of me, somewhat of figuring out my relationship, trying to still figure out parenting because I was a single mom at the time, but I was about to get married. And you came in and you just, and well, actually, even before that, I was in school. I was getting my master's in the social work, and we worked together at DJJ.
Juvenile justice.
Juvenile justice. And so we had some really good times, but I love that because what I felt then is what I feel now is that you are such a nurturer and you helped me in my early career try to figure out who I was and who I plan to be. And you're still doing that right now.
Yes. Don't know anything else.
Oh my God, I love it. I love it. All right. So I want to take a minute for you to introduce yourself to everybody so that they know who you are.
Yes. My name is John Wendell Byrd. I'm the founder and owner of Hype, which is helping you prepare for excellence. This is a mentoring coaching group that I have been doing for some years now. And I'm a prior military brat. I was in the Navy, and I worked with the Department of Juvenile Justice for 18 years. Mm-hmm. And that is where I got all of my practice and all of my great tactics.
Yay. I love it. I love it. I love it. And so tell us what your biggest strength, AKA your superpower, is.
My superpower would be relationship building. Not only relationship building, but creating hope in what may seem to be a hopeless situation. Yeah. For all people, not just some.
Yeah, no, I truly believe that. I think that anybody who is around you, your spirit, your personality is absolutely contagious, and people can't help but to be hopeful after having a conversation with you.
Yes. One of my strengths is looking at things differently from a different angle. One of the things that I do in some of my sessions is I put two people together in the same room, put them back to back, and I ask each one of them to tell me what they see, right? Mm-hmm. Although we're in the same space, we don't see the same things in the same way. And that helps people to understand that, listen, the way I see this same situation is not the way you see it. However, we're in this together. Let's fix it. How do we fix it? We communicate effectively, because we know that yelling, fussing, and cussing are all forms of communication. They're just ineffective. How do we find an effective way of communicating? And once you learn or teach people how to communicate effectively, that is over half of the problem.
Oh my God, you already getting into it. Slow down. No, but it's so true, right? Like effective communication. I teach it all the time, but it's so true. I think that if we did learn how to talk to each other, and say things, because there's a way to say things.
Oh yes, everything.
Like you can say whatever you need to say, but if you say it in the right way, then you're gonna get somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
It determines what how you say it determines how they receive it and how they give it back.
Exactly. And we know that people can receive it and give it back in ways that we don't want. So, oh my God. Okay, so tell us a little bit about your background and about Hype, which I love, helping you prepare for excellence, right? Like we met at juvenile justice. So you've been doing this work with young people for a very long time. How'd you actually even come up with Hype? Because
Great
that's Hype
question.
to me.
It was through the juvenile justice system. I had a young man back then. Remember, we used to commit kids for 2 years to the state.
Mm.
And I had a young man who I had committed for 2 years. I sent him off to a wilderness placement. And I would have to go up there quarterly and go see him. And I would go up there more than quarterly and check on him and see how he was doing. And he would be doing well. And they talked about how mannerable he is and how wonderful he is with the staff and how he is with the other young people there. And he stayed there for 2 years. But while he was there, I only had to meet with the mom. Maybe I had to just check in with the mom, maybe per policy once or twice. That young man came home when he came home that very day, I had to lock him up again.
What?
I had to have him locked up that very night. He got home around noon, around 6 o'clock. I had the police at the house and he had to be detained. And when that happened, that's where Hype was created. Because what I found out from that situation is it doesn't matter how much you deal with who they call the problem, which was the kid. Mm-hmm. Nobody worked with the mom or the home environment. And so if you don't deal with the home environment, that kid has only the methods he used to have to relate back to in order to survive in that environment. So you have to change the entire environment. So while he's away, we should be working more with the kid, with the parent, because the parent is as much as they don't want to believe it, a lot of times the parent is a bigger part of the problem. And I had to explain to the young man, because of what he had done, there's nothing I can do, because that was part of the judge's order, is if they did certain things, they have to be detained. However, I was able, from that family to this day, that was years ago, his sister and his mom still call me, because working through that situation, they never had that problem again. Wow. But I realized through Hype, I had to create a program where I bring parents and youth in together, because most programs deal with just a parent or just a youth. You cannot fix a problem by dealing with one part of it. You have to deal with every facet of that problem. And by teaching parents how to communicate, how to effectively communicate, I explain to parents that kids are people too. Yeah. Don't ever forget it. Kids are people too. And if oftentimes we compare our problems with our kids. I got bills to pay. I got this to pay. But you ain't got nothing to worry about. All you got to do is go to school and get your classes. That is a lot. That is a lot for somebody that age. And we tend to discount who they are, what they're going through. And which makes, if somebody discounted me or you on how well we are doing or not doing, we would rebel as well.
Yeah. Wow. No, I love that, because I think most of the most effective things and programs in our world are built out of necessity and need. And Hype was built out of that necessity and need. And it makes me think like, oh my God, he had been doing so well. And he had until he got back into that triggering environment.
That's it.
And then and that's why I think like even when we were talking about like leaders and young people in the organizations and stuff like that, like they have to have that support around them, even in the organization, to be successful. And then they got to go home and have some kind of support system as well to be successful employees, leaders in the workplace.
Yes. And so what I found, is that DJJ didn't have a system set up to where you deal with and work with the parent while the kid is going away getting fixed or getting some issues taken care of. So that mom, she doesn't know she's having problems. She just feels like the kid is the problem because she's dealing with life as if the kid isn't.
Yes.
Our kids, they wander around with a backpack full of problems, and they have book bags of tactical gear on their backs. And we tend to think because them maneuvering through the school system or going to school every day, they're friends, they're having fun all day. It is not always fun.
No.
It is not always great. And one of the other things I wanted to say is, we think that our kids meet their first bully at school. They don't. Kids' first bully is at home.
Woo, boy, you is no, because you preaching for real.
I was that kid. I was that kid. And what makes me what I would say what makes me great at what I do is that I was that kid, and I'm able to relate when I see an issue. I can pick up on it right then because I was him. I was her. I dealt with this. And what I seen in the past, like growing up, my mom was my biggest bully. The way she treated me, the way she talked to me, socially, emotionally, I was destroyed. I was beat. I was just, it was a lot that was going on. And what happens? What people say now, when you hear parents say, "Well, he don't act like that at home," I can't. You'll beat me to get there.
Right.
I can't. But when I left home, on my way to school, I will not tolerate. I will not deal with. I will not have anybody talking to me the way that she does. I will not have anybody to do me like that. And the first time any sign of it at school, whether it be teacher or another student, boom, I was a bomb.
Yeah.
I mean, just a ticking time bomb. And people say, but he's so nice at times, but then when he explodes. Well, that's me taking out on them.
Yeah.
What I couldn't do at home.
Wow.
So when parents say, well, they don't act like that at home, they can't. So they take it out. So I found myself taking it, what stress I had at home, I took it out on people at school or in whatever environment I was in. Now, I didn't go out looking for trouble. I didn't. No. But if it came, I welcomed it.
Yeah. You're like, okay, you healed. I'm good. Let's go.
We ready.
We ready. We stay ready. Oh my God. No, you know what? That makes so much sense to me. And I even think about my own life and my own mom and stuff like that. And then but it brings me back now because, I got young babies in the house. It brings me back to how I parented my first, Tamazier, and how I parent these children right here. And I think that is definitely different, only because I've grown and I know more, but I understand, I can see exactly what you're saying and talking about. And I try to literally be in a space where I talk to my babies. They're 4 and 6 years old, right? I want to have conversations. Jamil, he's talking to them all the time. Like you would think two adults are sitting here having a conversation because he treats them not like adults, but he treats them like human beings. And we be having conversations. And they, of course, answer on a child level, right? I don't know. He hit me or she hit me, that kind of thing. But still, we're giving them that so that they can be express who they are and grow up in an environment that is not, they're not scared.
Or it's toxic, but you're building a foundation. Jasani is currently 21, right? I remember him being in school, and he would come home and tell me what happened. Like Jasani has always been a scholar, so he was always about his book work and stuff. And I remember him coming home telling me, "Well, Dad, my teacher, all she do is discipline, and she deal with these kids, and we don't get math done, and we don't do this and that and the other." And I said, and I would have a conversation with him. I wouldn't be like, "Oh, I'm gonna go down to that school and I'm gonna let them have it."
Right.
I would say to him, "So how would you like to fix that?" And he would say, "Well, I think I need to do A, B, C, and D." And I said, "Do you want me to come down and help, or do you want to do it yourself?" And he said, "Dad, I think I can handle it." I said, "Okay. And if you think you can handle it, tell me exactly how you would handle it." So he would explain. I said, "Let me tell you something. You always start off with the positive. You don't go to somebody talking to them about what they're doing and how it hurts you without giving them something great about themselves first." Yep. So you want to take the stinger out of the bee, right? So then as a carpenter bee, you can start building on the relationship. So my son would go and say, Miss Kiki, you are a great math teacher and you have done this and I've learned so much in your class. However, when Justin and John act this way, or when they do this, you take the focus off of the class and you put it on them. And I'm not getting what I need out of this class. And I feel that you could do better. However, I don't know what else you could do in order to make these things work.
Mm-hmm.
And my son would go to school and he would do just that. And I remember one time a principal, we had to go up to the school, and the principal came into the meeting, and he said, I called you here because I wanted to tell you I had teachers come to me to talk about how well your son handles conflict or just a disgruntled situation, whether it's teachers and things. I had teachers say, I cannot believe how this young man talked.
And teaching them that is that.
We have to, I look at today where my son has had a problem at his job when he was working somewhere. And I was like, they doing that. And that happened to you? And he was like, yes, sir. I said, well, how are you going to handle it? He said, I'm going to go back to this person. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And I said, okay. And if that doesn't work, he said, I'll file a grievance.
You better file a grievance.
I didn't know what the word was.
Listen.
Okay, hey, my grievance was some 4-letter words. You
right.
Hear me? This ain't where it's gonna go. We're gonna do this and gonna do that. You ain't gonna do that to me no more.
Right.
So I had to teach him how to maneuver through life without using 4-letter words, without people can hear you more when they have not a reason not to listen.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Oh my God.
Give them a reason not to listen.
I mean, well, first of all, I can admit that I am a recovering yeller.
Yeah.
Right. Because I mean, I'm not perfect. I don't think any of us are as parents, as mentors, or any of that. And so I try very hard, and I don't do it very often at all. But sometimes I've caught myself and I'm like, you know what? I'm so sorry, mommy, did not mean to yell. Right. Because when you do that, they don't listen. They get used to all this yelling. Right. And then I didn't yell so much. They're like, oh, you said so?
Not effective.
You said
I used to be very big disciplinarian. Oh, I spank, I whoop, whatever. I'm gonna get your attention. And then with him, I had to learn, when you learn better, you do better. When I was in school, I learned that that there's other ways. And one of the things I adopted in my home environment was the more words you use, the less explanations you have to give. And I changed the way we communicate, right? And this is what I try to explain to some parents, even though it is for a lot of parents, I ain't gonna say a lot, some parents will adopt this, but what has helped me in my home is I walk into his room, and when he was younger, I would walk into his room if I needed something for him to do. And I would say, hey man, how you doing? What are you doing? Oh, I'm playing my game. Okay. Hey, how much longer do you think you'll be playing? Probably, you think you'll be out in about, you'll lose half your men by 10, 15, 20 minutes? Yes, sir. Would you do me a favor? Yes, Dad. What is it? I'm about to run to the store and things. Would you wash the dishes? And that's all I need you to do. Wash the dishes. And then anything that's on the stove, just put it up in the refrigerator. I would come home. The dishes will be washed. The counters will be wiped off. Food will be put up. Floors swept. I didn't ask all that, but because of the way I did ask, he didn't mind going a step further.
Yep. That
right? Now, I remember one time he did all of that and he left a cabinet open. I walked in the kitchen and I said, just stunning. And he said, yes, Dad. I said, great job, man. You did a good job. I was about to ruin everything he did over a cabinet that I could have shut.
Right. Well, he done did all this. He done cleaned the ceiling.
And I just went in there and shut the cabinet and just told him, hey, great job. And he's 21 now, and we have that same thing. Even this morning while I was getting ready this morning, he came in and talked to me, and he said, Dad, I understand you're going to be talking on a podcast this morning, and I appreciate you so much, and you're a great dad. I love you. He said, may I pray for you?
Oh, what just Johnny is the dude, okay? He the man. He the man, but oh my God, so many things. Oh, tell him, hey, Jasani, we giving you a shout out on the Dr. Kiki Ramsey show. No, I love that, because what we're talking about is how you're raising and mentoring your son, this young man.
It starts at home.
It starts at home. But you know what I think about is that these are such vital, tools and tips. And a lot of times, I mean, my kids are young, right? They go to school, and we just had like parent teacher conferences and stuff like that. And my thing is, I let people lead, and I can also be a follower. So although I'm a leader, I can also be a follower. And so I was at my daughter's school, and we were talking about her progress, and she's doing so well, but she got some areas to grow in. And they were asking me, about what I do. And I was like, well, I'm a positive psychologist. I'm an executive coach. They're like, you already know about this stuff. I said, no. I do not teach 3, 4, and 5, and 6-year-olds. I do at home, but I rely on you. And I said, but at the end of the day, we are a team. So I do believe that we can share with each other. And so we started sharing back and forth with each other on how we do things. And that's that partnership, right? That we need in today's world to get these young leaders, because that's what they are.
Yes.
Into these corporations and into these companies, leading like you're talking about, Jasani.
Yes. I tell parents, never cry alone. Take a group. Listen, it takes a village.
Yes.
If you I would never tell a teacher or anybody they can't discipline Jasani. Not, they can redirect him. They can, and then call me. Let us talk about it. But as long as I got somebody out there that's on the same page as I am, I'll never tell somebody they can't, tell him or redirect him. Exactly. Right? That's the first mistake we make. We think that we can't be everywhere. Okay. And one of the things he said as he was growing up, and he'll say it to this day, everywhere I went, people knew you, and they knew who you were. So they had greater expectations of me, no matter who I was with. So there was eyes on me that wasn't on somebody else that was standing beside me, because they were looking at where I came from. And remember, when we was growing up, our parents used to ask, who is that? Who are their parents?
Always.
Parents stopped doing that. And oftentimes what I found in my group is parents want to be friends instead of friendly. There's a big difference. Me and my son are friendly, but I'm always be his father first.
Exactly.
That we're not friends.
No.
I'm friendly.
Right.
And we can laugh, we can joke, and we can even play. But when it comes time for life experiences, I'm his father first.
Yeah.
I'm not his friend. I'm not his comedian. I'm his father.
Yeah.
And that's what he respects from me. He won homecoming last night. And so I was telling my wife.
He won homecoming king?
Yes, he did.
Hey!
So last night I was telling my wife before she got here, usually he don't want my help in dressing and all that. Dad, what should I wear? Dad, come help me with this. Dad, could you iron this? Dad, could you cut my hair? Dad, I was like, oh, okay. So he still needs you. And what parents have to understand, the older they get, the more they need you, because they are making life-changing decisions. And I think about when he was a baby and crawling around on the floor, we would buy all these toys. He would go into the cupboard and grab out pots and pans and cling them against each other and on the floor. He was fine by himself. But we tend to think that the more they're able to do on their own, that they need us less. No. From 0 to 12, I want to say this. From 0 to 12, we are their drivers. We're the drivers. We should be teaching them everything they need to know for life. From 13 on, we are no longer their drivers. We become their guardrails.
Yeah. I love that. Oh, you was dropping some jewels. Oh my. Okay. So so good. So good. All right. So we're talking about these young people, right?
Okay.
These are the young people who are going to be our future. leaders in these organizations. Jasani is 21, Tamazier is 28.
Mm-hmm.
They already in the workforce and in the world. How would you tell what pointers would you give other parents? Number one, other leaders who are dealing with, there's a whole bunch of stuff about millennials and Gen Zs and Gen X's and Y's and all the whole alphabet, right? I think in organizations, people have a hard time dealing with young people. And so what advice would you give, leaders, parents, people who are trying to mentor and coach young people to be our future leaders?
We first have to listen. Don't discount who they are or what they feel. Okay. You have to be able to absorb some of the things you may not want to hear. Okay. You can't always lash out, but you have to be a sounding board. The thing is, our kids need a safe space and a safe place to land.
Yeah.
And the reason why a lot of our young people are doing some of the things they're doing is because they never felt like they were being heard or have a place to land. One of the things I never wanted my son to do is to go ask somebody else. You don't have to ask my neighbor. I'll tell you. Sometimes we forget when we were 15, 16 years old and what we was feeling and how we felt. So I would tell people to always be willing to listen and be slow to speak.
Ooh-wee.
And I remember when I was that age, and therefore when they're talking to me, I can be quiet. I'm starting to remember when I was that age, how did I handle this situation? But better yet, the 56-year-old Wendell would tell you this, son.
Yeah.
Would tell you this, my child.
Right.
So we have to be, able to produce young people that we want by giving them things we never had. And I don't mean things, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. And let me address that real quick. It's sad that today that hairdos and tennis shoes are more important than education. So we have instead of raising our kids, we're giving them things.
Yeah.
Giving them that they need the basic essentials of life. They do need things. They do need those things. They need their needs met.
Food, water, shelter, all that.
They need those things.
Yes.
They don't need an excessive amount of it, because anytime you give just for the sake of giving, you start to creating a kid that don't appreciate anything.
That part.
And the other thing I tell parents is this. It's amazing how from the time they're in school to their end up in high school, we'll give them the world just to show that we are great parents, right? Oh, I bought my child this. My child got this. All these kids run around with this and that. But after high school, we drop them off. We stop giving because my job is over. Your job just began. You just started too soon. That part.
Who got bamboozled?
Because now you can't understand why your child is out there doing things they have no business to get to look. A kid is not going to stop being or looking the way they used to look because now their classmates and things are looking at them a certain way.
Yeah.
And now they got to do whatever they got to do, whether it's illegal or not, and maintain that look, even though it won't happen.
Yeah.
And Kiki, let me say this to you. Something that my son said to me. We was in Ohio and we were speaking. He had to speak. I had to speak at a Martin Luther King celebration in my hometown. And there was some teachers, some of my teachers and things was coming and saying, oh, I bought a ticket so I could come and hear you. I always knew you would do something great in life, yada, yada, yada. So I was sitting there with my classmates and things, and my son was sitting there. And eventually he just sat there and he said, you weren't popular. He said, you weren't popular in high school. I said, yes, I was. He said, no, you weren't. I said, why are you worried about that? He said, no, I'm trying to explain something to you. And I said, what? I tell you what, you worry about your speech and I'll take care of mine. I done got frustrated.
Right.
He said, I'm trying to get you to understand something. He said, you weren't popular in high school. I said, ask Deanna. He said, she wasn't popular either. Now here is an 11-year-old, okay? An 11-year-old telling me about my high school. And I said, just I was frustrated, and I said, just be quiet, sit there and worry about what you got to do. And you better do a good job on your part. Right. So a couple seconds later, he taps me. I said, yes. He said, let me explain something to you, Dad. And I said, yeah, go ahead, Jasani, because he's not going to stop. Okay. This is what I raised.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, listen to me. You weren't popular in high school. All the kids that was popular in high school, they ended up on drugs, dead, in jail, and in a situation they never wanted to be in. You weren't popular, Dad. You were well known.
I'm done with him. I'm done with him.
So we have to teach our young people
Yes.
it's better to be well known than to be popular.
Yeah.
As parents, I'd rather for people to know my kid as the smart kid or the kid that's doing what they're supposed to do than the kid that's so cool and got on the latest gear and things like that. And we're prepping them for the pros when they ain't gonna make they won't even make
no team.
No.
the junior varsity team. Okay. No, you're so right, because Jamil talks about that all the time. He talks about making sure that the kids are absolutely well-rounded, not just sports, but academically,
every day,
stuff like that. And this noticing, right? Like one of the things that we are doing right now is noticing what our kids are into. And Trey, oh my God, this boy is 4, but he knows how to draw. He gets that creative things from his father, and his pictures are like intricate. Whereas, you would think that a 4-year-old, they draw on stick figures, but his stuff is intricate. And Mackenzie, I call her the craft queen. She making elaborate dresses out of strings and boxes and stuff like that. And so you have to look at your children and these young people and see what they're interested in and nurture them from a place of strength versus always trying to fix them and for something that they're not strong in, something that they're not interested in. And so I wholeheartedly agree with you. Oh my God.
We have to help people, or even our kids, from where they are, not from where we want them to be.
That part.
And we have to understand that if we nurture their gift, not what we want. We think that our kids are going to play pro ball because we want them to.
Yeah,
we're thinking that's a long-term way out of something.
We're trying to live vicariously.
I wanted my son to be an attorney, and he got out of high school. He went to school to be an attorney. Then he came home one day. He said, "Dad, that's not what I want to do. That's what I was doing for you." Yeah. And I said, "I'm fine with that, son. Hey. Be you and do you. I love you regardless."
Well, what? Because you know me and you, this podcast could be 25,000 hours long. But we have come to the end. And so what final advice or insight would you leave our, the Dr. Kiki Ramsey Show listeners with, especially those who are passionate about supporting our young people?
One of the things I would say, a lot of our young people they feel unloved, unseen, misunderstood, and disrespected. And just left out. Yeah. Respect people the way you want to be respected. Even though they are your children, we have to respect them. And in any situation, respect goes a long, long way. Yeah. And I would tell any parent, any mentor, or whatever you choose to do and be, start off with respect. Treat people the way you want to be treated. And don't ever forget, no one cares how much you know until they know how much you care.
Oh boy, just drop the mic. Just drop the mic. And with that, I want to say thank you so much, friend, for just taking your time out to be on the Dr. Kiki Ramsey Show, for pouring into my life and the listeners, and just being a friend. I mean, I really do appreciate you. And although we don't talk every day, you've left a lasting impact on me. And I know that somebody needed to hear something you had to say today in this podcast. And so thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Thank you for having me. I've been excited all week long.
Yay. And so for you all out there listening, if you are that person who needed to hear this, please go ahead and leave us a review. Also share this podcast with somebody who you know needs to hear this information as well. And if you are a woman professional who is looking for a tribe, I invite you to come on over and join us in the Happy Women Lead Academy. We are going to be going live after this session as well. And so I just would love to see you there so I can support you along your journey. All right, y'all. Until next time, peace.
Thank you.